Good afternoon, everyone, and especially to Engineer Josper Lidisma. Good afternoon. So, this is Honeywell Labajo's presentation, and there's a saying that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow's belongs to those who prepare for it today, by Malcolm X. Now, our topic for today is about groundwater conditions and supply, which are the capillary movement in soil, porosity, and permeability. Before anything else, let us know first what is groundwater conditions and supply. So, we have the meaning, importance, and their uses. So, the meaning, the condition of groundwater reflects a combination of physical, biological, and chemical attributes, which are influenced by both natural sources and human activities. So the importance are groundwater is a vital water supply for humanity. The second one is groundwater provides drinking water. So the uses are drinking, irrigation, industry, and livestock. Now, let's move on to capillary movement in soil, porosity, and permeability. Now, we will know first what is the capillary movement in soil. So, capillary movement in soil, capillary action or capillarity, the process by which soil moisture may move in any direction through the fine and example of capillary pores of soil. Under the influence of surface tension, force between the water and the soil particles. So, the meaning of capillary or capillarity, the tendency of a liquid in capillary tube or absorbent material to rise or fall as a result to surface tension. So, nako example ani. So, example no kani mo ni ang land or soil. So, sa soil dili na siya as in nga kanang compressed jud kaayo nga wala na space. So, ang soil is na jud na siya space. So, ang kaning space na ni siya air. So, and example ani niya if na mag-uwan, so kung ang tubig niya is mo absorb na siya dito sa ilawom. So, kaning mga space, so, mabutangan ni siya og tubig tungod sa kanang rain, kay ma-absorb man siya. Then, another example is kanang kanang kuan, ikakadlaw na then, ang kaning dahon ana niya is, naam na siya magtubig. So, ang tubig ana niya is matagak, ari diri sa kaning soil, then, mo-absorb na siya sa ilawom. Then, next. Capillary rise and pressure in soil. So, capillary rise is the height to which the water rises within the tube and decreases as the width of the tube increases. Thus, the narrower the tube, the water will rise to a greater height. Now, what is PF and what is soil suction? So, PF, or it is called permeability factor, a measure of how interconnected the individual pore spaces are in a rock or sediment. A measure of the ability of a material such as rocks to transmit fluids. Porosity and permeability are related properties of any rock or loose sediment. Now, soil suction. Soil suction is defined as the state of the soil when it is under reduced pressure. It is measured in terms of the height of the water column suspended in soil. The suction required to remove water from soil above the water table, largely made up of the metric potential by which water is held in soil pores by capillary action, and the much smaller solute potential, which is the osmotic effect of dissolved salts. So, mo ni atong table. Natay 6 6 ka column. Sorry for that. So, first column, we have height in centimeter of H2O column. Then, ang second column, natay PF, log centimeter of H2O column. Then, the third one is kilogram and square centimeter. Then, the fourth one is kPa. Then, the fifth one is bar. And then, the last is atmosphere or ATP. So, if ang atong height is 10, ang atong PF is 1. Then, ang atong kilogram or square centimeter kay 0.01. Then, atong kPa kay 1. Then, ang atong bar kay 0.01. Then, ang atmosphere kay 0.01. Then, kung ato asang height is 100, ang ato asang PF is 2. Then, ang ato ang kilogram is 0.1, then atong kPa is 10, and then ang bar nato is 0.1, then ang atong atmosphere is 0.1, and so on and so forth. So, next, porosity and permeability. So, what is porosity? Porosity refers the amount of pores or open space between the soil particles. Pore space may be formed due to the movement of roots, worms, and insects. Expanding gases trapped within this space by groundwater and or the dissolution of the soil parent materials. So, ang kanang porosity is kanang kuan na siya sa open space between soil and particles. So, makuha na siya if kanang mag-move ang kaning roots, then ang kaning worms and sa insects. So, mausab na iyang ma-expand na siya ang iyang gases, then matrap siya within the space by groundwater. So, permeability. Permeability is the property of the soil to transmit water. So, matransmit siya water and air, and is one of the most important qualities to consider for fish culture. A pond built in impermeable soil will lose little water through seepage. Now, we have the differences and similarities between porosity and permeability. So, mo ni atong porosity and then mo ni ang iyang mo ni atong permeability, then ang ilahang similarities is kani. So, we will know first the porosity. Porosity measures how much space is between rocks. So, kung pila ko na ang measure sa space between sa rock. Then, ang permeability is a measurement of how easily fluid can flow between the rocks. So, nag-measure sad ni siya kung kanang how easily fluids can flow between the rocks. So, ang ilang similarities is porosity and permeability are both properties of rock and soil. Now, what are the factors affecting the porosity? So, we have soil particle texture, soil structure, soil compaction, and quantity of organic material. So, soil particle texture. So, the meaning is refers to the proportion of sand, silt, and clay size particles that make up the mineral fraction of the soil. So, makuha ni siya, wait lang ha. So, maka-affect ni siya sa porosity of soil. It's because porosity depends on the both soil texture and structure. For example, a fine soil has smaller but more numerous pores than a coarse soil. A coarse soil has bigger particles than a fine soil, but it has less porosity. So, less yung porosity or overall pore space. So, mo to siya nga maka-affect siya sa porosity of soil. Next, soil structure. Soil structure defined by the way individuals particles of sand, silt, and clay are assembled. So, mo ni siya. So, maka-affect siya sa porosity of soil. It's because the destruction of the soil structure affect the function of its pores. So, maka-affect siya sa iyang function of the pores. So, the amount of air-filled pores increased with the reduction of the bulk density. However, the stability and continuity of these pores are low, which affects their functionality. So, mo to maka-affect siya sa porosity of soil. Next, soil compaction. Soil compaction occurs when soil particles are pressed together and reduce pore space between them. Heavily compacted soils contain few large pores, less total pore volume, and consequently a greater density. So maka-affect ang soil compaction sa porosity of soil. It's because due to the increase in bulk density, the porosity of soil decreases. Large pores called macropores, essential for water and air movement in soil, and primarily affected by soil compaction. So, another is soil compaction can lead to poor roots growth, which reduces crop yield through poor water and nutrients uptake. So, example ay so mo ni ang picture. So, di ba sa wala pa siya kanang gi-compress ang kuan. So, mo pa ni ang forma. So, label ra sila ang air ug ang water. Then pag gi-compact na siya, kanang gikuan na siya, gi-compress na siya. So, ang iyang air is ni gamay. And then ang iyang water kay ni daghan. So, mo ni siya ang example. Next, quantity of organic material. So, soil organic matter is the fraction of the soil that consists of plant or animal tissues in various stage of breakdown or decomposition. So, maka-affect ni siya sa porosity of soil. It's because soil organic matter serve as a reservoir of nutrient for crops, provided soil aggregation, increase nutrient exchange, retain moisture, reduce compaction, reduce surface crusting, and increases water infiltration into soil. So, next, what are the factors affecting the permeability? So, we have particle size, void ratio, degree of saturation, and absorbed water. So, first, particle size. Particle size, particles are from 0.002 to 0.05 mm in diameter. Sand range from 0.05 to 2.0 mm. Particles larger than 2.0 mm are called gravel or stones. Most soils contain a mixture of sand, silt, and clay in different proportions. So, mali siya ang gravel, sand, and silt, and clay. So, ang gravel diri is 2 mm to 75 mm. Then, ang sand is 0.05 mm to 2 mm. So, ang silt diri is 0.002 mm to 0.05 mm. Then, ang clay diri is less than 0.002 mm. So, maka-affect po ang size, particle size sa permeability of soil. It's because permeability varies according to the size of soil particle. If the soil is coarse-grained, permeability is more, and if it is fine-grained, permeability is low. So the relationship between coefficient and particle size can be shown. Okay, so next, void ratio. Void ratio of a soil sample is defined as the ratio of the space occupied by the voids, and example is volume of voids to the space occupied by solid, and example of volume of solid. So, money kanang maka-affect sad ang kaning void ratio sa permeability of soil. It's because in general permeability increases with void ratio, but it is not applicable to all types of soil. For example, clay has high void ratio than any other types of soil, but permeability for clays is very low. This is due to the flow path through voids. In case of clays is extremely small such that water cannot permeate through this path easily. So, mo ni siya eh. So, kani siya sa wala pa ni siya gikuan din. Di ba dako pa kay space no, then pag abot na diri is ang iyang space is gamay na lang kaayo. Next, degree of saturation. The degree of saturation is defined as the ratio of actual humidity ratio to the humidity ratio of a saturated mixture at the same temperature and pressure. So, maka-affect ni siya sa permeability of soil. It's because degree of saturation, partially saturated soil contain air voids which are formed due to entrapped air or gas released from the percolating fluid or water. This air will block and flow path, thereby reduces the permeability. Fully saturated soil is more permeable than partially saturated soil. Next, absorb water. So, absorb water moisture in the cloud, then return to the Earth's surface as precipitation, and once it reaches the ground, the water is absorbed and it becomes groundwater. So, mo ni siya. Maka-affect ni ang absorbed water sa permeability of soil. It's because absorbed water is the water layer formed around the soil particles, especially in the case of fine-grained soils. This reduces the size of the void space by about 10%, hence permeability reduces. So, mo ni siya. And that's all, everyone. I hope you guys learned something from my presentation. That's all. Thank you.